welcome to another Professional Genealogist Reacts with me, Jet Ross, the Genie Vlogger. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you are all doing well. I see a bunch of you in the chat already active and talking, and that's awesome as usual. So great to see a bunch of you. Hopefully you had a good New Year, a good Christmas, a good Hanukkah. Good Kwanzaa. I don't know what else was being celebrated around that time. But hello, everybody. Thank you for joining today. We'll start with our usual as everyone starts kind of piling in here and going through all the hellos. So Julia Joyce coming in. Happy New Year to everyone, which if I remember correctly, you're in Hampshire, England. Because I always think we always have someone from New Hampshire and then we have Julia from Hampshire. If I'm correct, I don't know. I could be wrong. I'll keep an eye out for that. Then we also have Anna Tommaso here, and she wasn't the first today. Julia beat her. Happy New Year to you and everyone joining this stream. Thank you. I know that says @ Julia, but I'm guessing, everyone joining this stream. Also, happy early Epiphany Day to those who celebrate January 6th. Not sure about that unless that's a January 6th, like US reference to what happened a few years ago, January 6th. I don't know either. Or I don't know. Either way, does anyone have specific genealogy goals they hope to smash in 2025? Yeah, that's a great discussion. Everyone put what you've got for your goals for 2025, your genealogy goals. I'll probably talk about some of mine in a bit. But yeah, let's keep going. PZ, hi, I am excited to find out that I match your mom and cousins on my heritage. Maybe endogamy or maybe through the Epstein line. I am also descended from the Mendoza family, so perhaps from there. Yeah, it's just a matter of how much we're matching and then triangulating segments and things like that to figure out where that DNA is coming from. Because yeah, one of the things with endogamy is I think a lot of people will think of endogamy as like, oh, these are matches where I'm not related to them. And it's not necessarily that as much as it is that you're just so distantly related to those people in multiple ways that it makes it seem like it's closer. So it's not that you're not related. It's just that the relatedness you have might be outside of the genealogical window, which for Eastern European Jews, the genealogical window kind of ends in the 1700s. Some families can trace a little bit further than that, obviously, but it's very rare. As opposed to a lot of Dutch Jewish families, which if you're coming from the Mendoza family, you might be coming from a Western Sephardic diaspora ancestry, which if that is the case, we can often on Western Sephardic families trace back to the 1600s and earlier. Not all families, but many. So yeah, but either way, very cool, very cool. So we've got to be related somehow, but likely many, many ways. Just a matter of, is there one that's in that genealogical time window that we can figure out? James Burton, Happy New Year. Goals this year to complete as many International Institute of Genealogical Studies courses as I can and to continue getting organized with research notes, research reports, etc. Very cool, very cool. I have to admit, the spot that I have the biggest difficulty with is keeping research notes. And, I got really good at reports just through my work in investigative genetic genealogy because I had to switch the reports from what I was writing to the way that we needed to present it to law enforcement. And it really forced me to realize a whole lot of stuff going on with what you're really doing with reports in terms of, presenting it to the client. And it kind of gave me a view of like a lot of things to possibly use in my own work with private clients, which I've taken on some new private clients recently, being very minimalistic about it, but I just wanted to mention that. So if you are looking to hire someone, most especially I'm doing largely one-on-one consultations. So hour-long stuff and all that. But what I was talking about in terms of reports, when you take on a client as a professional genealogist and you're presenting the information to them, you're often doing that in a report. Genealogists have there's there's no like standard for all genealogists to have. There are standards that are set when you are a certified genealogist or a board certified genealogist, or, you know, if you ever see CGs or BCGs and stuff like that, a lot of what they focus on is report writing. But that's definitely one of my spots that, even though I think, you know, I can do it, it's just like really difficult. It's not part of my innate workflow, so it just makes it difficult. I'm just rambling about the most random stuff, but Happy New Year. Thank you, James. Alexandra, Happy New Year, everyone. Greetings from Koblenz, Germany. Happy New Year. Good to have you. Working through the Latin for Genealogists methodology course at the moment. I saw that earlier when I was just getting started with the stream, and that's actually really interesting because I took Latin in high school and I wasn't the greatest with it. I also took a semester of it in college, but they forced me to take like the beginner Latin, and probably was a good thing because I wasn't the best at Latin in high school. And then beginner Latin, I was like, oh, wow, it all makes sense. And I learned it a lot better. But I have found that my knowledge of Latin really has been useful in going through records, because you do recognize words that as an English speaker wouldn't make sense. But then again, also because I have like various minimal knowledge of various languages, like Spanish was my first language. I've been learning Dutch, which has been a whole kind of different thing in a sense. But I also, you know, as a kid, I learned Hebrew for my bar mitzvah and all of that. Didn't really know how to speak it, but, you know, I knew how to read it phonetically, and I knew what some words meant. But it's just like a lot of that stuff that then helps you in understanding what certain things mean, because a lot of words, obviously, you know, etymology, if you look at that whole world, it's really interesting how words connect, and you can see the flow of the change in words of like one of the things I always like numbers, because they're really, really easy to learn, you know. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then in Dutch it's 1, 2, 3. Wait, is it? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I don't remember, you know, but just that sort of stuff. I also know it in Japanese. Ichi ni san shi go. Wait, no. Ichi ni san shi go roku hachu ishi shakaju. I don't know. I screwed that up. But yeah, just knowing languages, it's good. It's good. Okay, I'm really slow at responding to stuff, so I'm gonna jump ahead because I see a lot of the same people. Stig, Happy New Year to all from Oslo, Norway. Happy New Year, Stig. Thank you for joining. Bryce Gardner, hi. Hello, Bryce. Thank you for joining. Tasha Carl coming in from Minnesota. Thank you for joining, Tasha. Karma, hello from Nebraska. Looks like winter is finally going to hit us here, expecting snow and possibly ice. Oh, joy. Yeah, I saw that that big storm's going on. I don't know if anyone's else watching is familiar with Ryan Hall, y'all, but he's kind of like one of the YouTube weather guys. And so I watch a lot of his stuff, and I saw a lot of his videos about that stuff because I was worried, oh, it's going to hit North Carolina. And it looks like we're probably just going to get rain. It'll be cold rain, though. But Margaret Chase, Hippo Gnu Deer All. Well, Hippo Gnu Deer to you, too. Drea, hello, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Drea. Weeping Scorpion, hello, Happy New Year, everyone. I don't know if I said that even anywhere close. I'm sure I was way off. But Happy New Year, Weeping Scorpion. Nick Brokema, de beste wensen, or as we say in Groningen, Welheil en Zechen voor te nieuwe jaar. I don't know if I read that right. That's actually, yeah, that's a lot of stuff. Try to pronounce that, yeah. Because EU, what is E? I'm trying to think what words I know that have like that EU, and then the AAIL. Yeah, what is that? Okay, I gotta figure out what this means. Okay, let's see. Yeah. I also want to see how to say, or at least let's see what Google Translate says to say it. So, yeah, I don't know. That actually kind of does remind me. I don't know if anyone saw me post about my music from this year. Hail and blessings for your new year. Okay, let's see. How do you say it?
Veel heil en zegen voor het nieuwe jaar. Veel heil en zegen voor 10 jaar.
Veel heil en zegen voor 10 jaar.
Veel heil en zegen voor 10 jaar.
Nieuwjaar. Okay, yeah, Nieuwjaar. So it's not Nieuwjaar, it's Nieuwjaar. Interesting. I didn't know that. I don't know if you all could hear that. I hope you can. Otherwise, that would have been really annoying just looking at me like, huh? All right. But Happy New Year. Charlie, good evening. Thank you for joining. Wonderful admin mod, which good time to shout out our Discord server. Definitely go check that out. It's been kind of quiet a little bit through the holidays, but I think a lot of us have been doing stuff. I know I haven't been on as much. But Adam Biros, hello, good to see you again. Happy New Year from Slovakia. Thank you, Adam, for joining. Happy New Year. Good to see you. Jose Lopez, I'm doing well so far. Good to hear. Thank you for joining, Jose. Bear Var, Happy New Year from Zurich. Thank you, Bear. Wonderful to have you. Daniel coming in from Bristol, UK. Thank you for joining, Daniel. And James Burton, hello from London, UK. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, James. And Charlie, I'm also from Hampshire. I don't know if I knew that. I don't know if you've ever told me where you were from before. I mean, I know, I know UK, but yeah. Illyrian, Happy New Year. Thank you for joining, Illyrian, one of our Twitch watchers, which for those who don't know, I'm on Twitch and YouTube. So be sure to follow me both places. Haas Mana, good afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year. Thank you, Haas. Good afternoon and Happy New Year to you too. Oh, I was correct. Julia Joyce, live in Hampshire, but I'm originally from Wales. Very cool. Very cool. Haas, I was just I was just on GEDmatch and saw your alert when I came on YouTube. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, GEDmatch. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with GEDmatch this year. You know, with everything going on with the investigative stuff. And then also, I think I saw that they have a couple of lawsuits going on with them, but I'm not quite sure if what the deal is with that. But yeah, I think it's under Verigen that they're technically going after, because there's technically 3 companies that are part of it. Yeah, Verigen. Yeah, it's Verigen, because Verigen is owned by Qiagen, and Verigen owns GEDmatch. So here, I'm going to share this because, yeah, genetic privacy suit over acquisition by Qiagen. That's right. That's what it has to do with. I knew it was something weird with like the companies, sort of. So this was, yeah, just a few months ago. But I didn't see a whole lot about this in general. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see if we can find the DNA geek, Laura Larkin. Laura Larkin. So she wrote about it too, I guess. Yeah, I hadn't really seen a whole lot about what's going on with it, but yeah. So just kind of an interesting thing to mention. So go to her blog if you want to read up more about it. There we go. Okay. Catherine checking in from Very Ice, Hertfordshire in the UK. Gritters were out today. I don't know what a gritter is. Gritters. That's not a term that we really use in the US. Oh, okay. Maybe do we call it that in? Okay, okay. So it is British English. Yeah. Interesting. Very cool. Well, hello, cousin. Thank you for joining. Daniel M., I've kind of paused my own genealogical research. Yeah, sometimes I think you need to do that. You know, for someone like me, where I'm doing research on all sorts of other people's families, I research my own family so little that every time I get some time to research it, I get so into it. So, you know, a lot of times I'm researching interesting stuff. It's just, you know, I'm always thinking about, ooh, new thing that I just learned. How can I apply it to my own family research and things like that? So, yeah. But yeah, sometimes you just need to take a pause. And I definitely over the years have taken a pause. Haas, love GEDmatch. Yeah, I love GEDmatch too. I don't think that there's going to be any sort of a shutdown of the website. But whenever there's lawsuits, like what's going on, and plus they're just always developing stuff. So, who knows what they might be developing that they haven't told anyone about. When I was helping with the endogamy auto cluster, EJ contacted me a long time before anything was ever released. So yeah. Drea, my 2025 genealogy goals are to digitize and properly archive old family photos. I just came home with a whole carry-on full of my grandparents' pictures and documents. That is awesome. Yeah, I would suggest, if you haven't looked into it, check out CZUR scanners. I've actually been thinking about getting one possibly. I actually was thinking about trying to reach out to the company and seeing if they'd want to like sponsor a video, and I do a video all about digitizing stuff. But this is what Alex Krakowski was using in his work in Ukraine. I don't know if this is what they're still using there, because Family Search is involved, and a lot of other major companies are involved, or not major companies, but a lot of major archives and stuff are involved in the digitization. So they probably have much fancier, higher tech stuff. But show me all of them. Maybe, I don't know. Well, hopefully you can at least see this website. And these are pretty easy to use. From what I've seen there's a lot of them that are like, you can fold them and they're really easy to carry and move, and their website is terrible though. Oh yeah, see one. It's not taking me anywhere. This is such a bad website. Either something's wrong with my internet, or I don't know. But either way, geez, I'm giving them a free shout out. All right, let's keep moving along. No name, please. Good afternoon. Goal of the year: find out how many 5 times great grandfather Thomas Francis, who is from West Africa, ended up in Leeds, UK in the 1820s. Interesting. That'll be a really interesting one to get into. Do you know where in West Africa, or is that part of what you need to discover? Because obviously West Africa is a huge area, especially depending on how you define West Africa. But even if you kind of just define it as like the West Africa, like sub-Saharan West Africa, kind of right around, like, I guess no more south than like the, Republic and the Congo countries. I always forget exactly what they're called. Let me pull up a map. But it's like right around the bend, basically. Right around the bend. All right. Oh, I froze there for a second. I'm going to share Google Earth. All right. Is it okay? Google Earth apparently is very risky, I think. It's got a lot to it. Too far out. All right. So, but like, I think a lot of people kind of define West Africa as like over here down to the, if it'll load. Because both of these are like the I don't remember what the load. Oh no. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so it came up for a second. Republic of Congo. There we go. Republic of Congo, and then Democratic Republic of Congo. So that's what I was talking about. So kind of like West Africa being from, Guinea, Bissau, Gambia, and, Senegal all the way out down here to the Congo countries. All right, let's close that because that's, wow, that looked terrible on my end. Hopefully you all got to see that. But either way, that's a very interesting one. Definitely update us as you go along. That'll be cool. Alexandra, my goal is finding the parents of my maternal second great grandmother. It has been a really difficult journey with a very common last name, few matches and records. Yeah, that's a shame. That's always difficult when you've got so little to work with and trying to break through a brick wall that's pretty close. And I'm kind of my brick wall has always been, my biggest brick wall has been my great grandmother Fanny, who we don't even know for sure what her last name was, her maiden name was. We have a couple that we're pretty sure it is. I think the strongest one is probably Baruch, but she might have been Greenspan. I think might have been Greenstein. And then there was also one that was like Broad or something like that. But I kind of was like, that seems like the person writing the record was not understanding what was said when they said Baruch, and they probably were like, Baroque, okay, something like that. Yeah, Jose Lopez 94. I'm hoping to find my DNA matches through 23andMe, since I figured out that the surname Martin is of English, Irish, Scottish, French, and Swiss German origin. So my mom has to have a relative in the UK. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. That's good that you've got the DNA, and definitely upload to other databases if you're trying to get as many matches as possible. Stephen Millsap. Hey, friend. Stephen from North Dakota. How do you feel about ThruLines now being integrated into trees? I'm not sure. Hasn't that already... I haven't been keeping up with some of the announcements lately. Let me see if there's a new announcement. But I always thought they kind of had it integrated already, like especially in the sense of like when you look at your family tree, it will have a little icon on the tree saying we have a ThruLines matches for this ancestor. But I'm not sure if there was something else more recently. Let's see, they've got their 2024 update from October with Krista. Which actually, yeah, I'll be seeing Krista in a few days at one of our IAGGS meetings. Yeah, that's good. I remember that. I always forget about those meetings sometimes. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything here. This announcement looks more like some of the stuff dealing with their Africa updates, especially since Nicholas Wells Smith is in this. But yeah, it's a 26-minute video. Yeah, here, I'm gonna jump forward. Let me know what it is. I'm not sure. I might be missing something. Wow. Scrolling forward, I did not realize that I was on today's Genealogy TV, the ThruLines. Oh, Connie put out a new video. Okay. Genealogy YV. Okay, the newest one. Oh, I'm not subscribed. Oh, yeah, I'm not logged into my main account. So, new tree feature. I don't think the audio is going to be coming through for you all anyway, but okay, so they put something into the side panel. Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, for those who want to learn more about whatever this tool is, watch Connie's video. I'll watch this after the stream. Interesting. Okay. So, oh yeah, I'm like trying to click through in the wrong spot. So yeah, okay, so it looks like it's advanced. So like you see this little icon right there. That's what I was talking about, where that's already been integrated, and then when you click down, it shows something. It showed something. I don't remember exactly. So maybe it's Oh, it was soon. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'll have to watch Connie's video after the stream. So very cool. All right, let's see. Where was I? Okay, Retro Rob Casa. Good morning, all, and Happy New Year. Good morning and Happy New Year. Thank you for joining. I love how we have all sorts of good mornings, good afternoons, good nights, and stuff. Because worldwide audience, I always love that. So we only have like 56 people watching right now across Twitch and YouTube, but worldwide. So that's very cool. Maven, I caught norovirus. I've already been sick more days in 2025 than 2024. Sorry to hear that, but yeah, I guess when it's the first few days of the year, yeah, it's gonna outweigh a lot of stuff. Eve Cotton, greetings from Ontario, Canada. Snowball, where we just finished digging out from 2 feet of snow. Oh wow. Oh wow, yeah. In some ways, I kind of would love to see snow down here in North Carolina, but then in some ways, I kind of don't. Dan Edwards, hola, ¿cómo está? I hope you're doing well. Drea, also, I got to register for/take course number 2 in Boston University's genealogy certificate program. Very cool, very cool. Yeah, a lot of folks in chat today talking about courses and things that they're taking. That's awesome to hear. Robin Maxinka? Interesting. I don't know if I'm mispronouncing that, but hello. Thank you for joining, coming in from California. What girl? Hello from Ohio. It is so cold. Yeah, it is kind of cold here too. LOL, the G in new is silent, just FYI. Yeah, I guess I was thinking in Dutch where the G is like a h. So, het is goed. Het is genoeg. Daniel M. I wouldn't wish norovirus on my worst enemy. Sounds absolutely awful. Yeah, sorry to hear about that. But hopefully Maven will get better soon. Karma Gal, we're expecting around 4 to 8 inches. Though south of us, they're expecting 8 to 12 plus inches of snow. Oh, wow. Neek, it's Gronings, our local dialect. Interesting. Baker Wannabe, hi, I'm hoping to find my father's missing sibling. It's a family mystery. Oh, wow. That's always difficult. That's one of the more difficult ones to figure out when you have a very specific person who is kind of not an ancestor. I don't know what the story is here, whether it's, just kind of a slow loss of connection with them over time, or if it was something more abrupt or what it was. But yeah, that stuff can be difficult. And this is kind of more along the lines of what you see for that TV show, Long Lost Family. So if you've never seen Long Lost Family, look that up. It's a great show. And they talk about, finding living people, which is very similar to genealogy research. People who do adoptee research, the search angel work, or people who do investigative genetic genealogy are doing a lot of the things that would be needed to find living people, as opposed to, ancestry, or, distant deceased relatives, things like that. So good luck. All right, let's jump. Oh yeah, link to Discord. There we go. What is this? 4:14. Wow, I'm 16 minutes behind chat. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna try to speed it up a little bit and jump through some of these. Matt Bishop, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Matt. One of our other mod admins. Good to have you as always. Let's jump forward. Hertfordshire. Sorry, I'm pronouncing that sounded too Boston, didn't it? Hertfordshire. Not Hertfordshire. Hertfordshire. I'm hurting for a shire. Hertfordshire. In Canada, it's called a sander, but it's usually on a plow. Interesting. Yeah, I think we just call them snow trucks or salt trucks. Excuse me. All right, I'm jumping forward so I can catch up. Let's see. Oh, Haas Manning, Cameroon, and sort of Angola. Okay. Okay. I think I remember that what that was in response to. Okay. I'm so far behind. I'm like, wait, what was that about? Oh, that's how long ago I was talking about that. Yeah, we know it's West Africa through Ancestry's DNA results for my mom. She did the test to confirm what my great grandmother had told her about having a black granny, and we've traced things back. Interesting. Now, this is where a great place where, if this is great grandmother, then mitochondrial DNA, if somebody in the family fits that mold, would be very useful. So basically, if this is your great grandmother who was the African ancestor, you're not going to get Y DNA because a great grandmother is not going to have a Y chromosome to pass on, but she will have mitochondrial DNA. Also, X chromosome DNA can be very useful just in the sense that it's inherited in a certain pattern. Sons and daughters receive it from their mother, but the son doesn't pass that on to their children. It's always coming from the mother. So with mitochondrial DNA, you can get an idea of that maternal line. And while it may not give you the specific area, it may at least lessen down that region of West Africa. But yeah, very cool. Very cool. Okay, let's see. Jumping forward. PZ, the Mendoza family were from Portugal, Western Sephardic, and they went to England. I only have a paper trail for my East Sephardic side, as mentioned last week. Okay, yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. I remember you said you had the family where you had the documentation connecting them from Salonika to Poland or something like that. But yeah, so we're from Portugal and went to England. So if that's the Mendoza family, I'm guessing that's like the same Mendoza family as David Mendoza, the genealogist, and the famous boxer Daniel Mendoza, I think it is. Yeah, Daniel Mendoza, who I'm sure if that is the case, But yeah, cool. Eve, cool barefoot genealogist. Yeah, Krista, the barefoot genealogist, and she lives up to the name. She is barefoot at a lot of conferences and stuff, so it's how she's comfortable, I guess. I that freaks me out. Bryce Gardner, what date my Heritage DNA update for 2025? I don't know if they announced that. I get the feeling they're going to announce it at Roots Tech, or they're going to give some sort of an update. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, there's been no update since they did the first rollout last year and then paused it all. So they're obviously working really in depth to figure it out. PZ, a distant relative in England has the Mendoza family tree, which an aunt of mine has seen. Okay. All right, let's jump. Xander B, hello. Thank you for joining. Let's see. I'm how far back am I now? Oh, I'm actually catching up pretty quick. Only 6 minutes behind. Which I should say too, if you all haven't seen, if you have a question you really want me to answer and I skip by it and there's, trying to catch up stuff. If you do a super chat, I always guarantee I will answer those. Obviously, you don't have to have a super chat to ask a question, but they are greatly appreciated. Okay. Julia, do you have to use a PC for Ancestry side views? I can't see this feature on my iPad using Safari. I definitely see that on my Mac, but I use a MacBook. I'm not using an iPad, so that maybe it's the iPad. But I don't know. All right, let's see. Yeah, Long Lost Family, so many great TV show programs. Yeah, for those who don't remember, it's probably been almost a year now since I did it, but I did that ranking of genealogy TV shows, which I think I put a bunch of clips out on my Clips channel, which if you haven't followed the Clips channel, go follow that. I actually haven't had any new clips come out since the new year. I had it lined up all the way to the new year to see how things would go, and it unfortunately wasn't going quite as well as I was hoping it would be. But go follow over there, and I'm sure I'll put more clips out too. Jose, have you ever been to Cornwall, England? I have not. Last year, well, now a year and a half ago, because last year was 2024, in the summer of 2023, I went overseas for the first time. The only other time I'd been out of the country before that, it was all within the Americas, to Mexico, the Caribbean, a couple of other places. I can't remember where, because it was mostly on cruises that I went. Although when I was a little kid growing up in Southern California, I think we went to Mexico a couple of times. But I have not been to Cornwall. I only went to London. I stayed in a couple of spots in London, East London, right near was in East London. Then from East London, I went to what is that spot called? Westminster area. And then I went to the what was that called? Hyde Park. And then from there, I took the Eurostar from St. Pancras Station all the way up to Amsterdam. So the only other parts of England I saw were the south eastern parts, whereas, you know, Cornwall is obviously southwestern. So, but I have some places that I'd be interested in checking out after diving so deep into Max's ancestry in Cornwall, which I didn't discuss much in the video I had on that. And for anyone who's like, Max who, what? I did Max Miller's family tree from Tasting History with Max Miller. More episodes will be coming out, but the most recent one that came out was the one on how I identified his grandfather's biological family, because his grandfather had been adopted. And the family on one side came from Cornwall and traced very far back into Cornwall. Hi from another Hertfordshire. Wait, Hertfordshire. Hertfordshire. I'm sure you're all laughing at me. When I was at the IAJGS conference in Philly, my cousin Catherine, who I saw was in here, I don't know if she's still in here, and then the genealogists Mark Nichols and Jeanette Rosenberg, they were trying to teach me how to say the words, and I think that was the one, Hertfordshire. And I remember it was one of those things where I'd say it like a dozen times, and I felt like I was saying it the same way, but then like the dozenth time they'd be like, yeah, like that, and I'd be like, what did I do differently? I don't even know. So Hertfordshire. I feel like I sound more Boston-like than English. So the joke that my roommate always have with the English accent is, you sound like you're from London, which is from that Russell Brand movie. I can't remember what, Saving Sarah Marshall. No, that's Saving Sarah Silverman. Something Sarah Marshall. I forgot. Yeah. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, put it down below. You sound like you're from London. That's Paul Rudd's line, I think, if I remember correctly. All right, let's continue. I'm taking a while. How we got here, genealogy? Good day, eh? Sorry I'm late. Well, good to have you, Brian. Thank you for joining. Oh, yeah, sorry, I meant to click this one. Patrick Jones, I just received mitochondrial full results today on FTDNA. Do you know when they might be releasing more info on the million mito tree? I don't know. I remember hearing about the million mito project because Roberta Estes put a thing out, but I haven't heard an update from that. And I think that was years ago. Like I feel like that was it. I feel like I heard about that. Oh, go away. There we go. I accidentally hit Siri. I hope you all didn't take that as me telling you to go away. Stay here. Stay tuned to your program. Here we go. Yeah, so the Million Mito Project, basically growing the mitochondrial DNA database, because it's a lot harder to learn from mitochondrial DNA than Y chromosome, because the Y chromosome mutates at a faster rate. And because of that, we can get a better idea of things going on, because if it's mutating at a faster rate, you get more points of reference. With mitochondrial DNA, it's mutating at a slower rate. And so it makes it really difficult to make any use of. But on top of that, we have very small databases for mitochondrial DNA. And that's a big part of genetic genealogy. We need the matches. It's just like the autosomal databases, the regular, family tree DNA, family finder database, Ancestry, 23andMe, all of those. With the autosomal DNA, when it was first getting off the ground, it was really hard to find good matches because the databases were so small. And then over the past 5 years in of itself, if not considering even longer, like the past 10 years, I mean, it's grown exponentially by millions. And so now it's so much easier. And then same thing with Y chromosome, not as much as autosomal, but a lot of people started doing Y chromosome testing through family tree DNA, and more whole genome sequence tests allowed more people to do Y chromosome testing. And so a lot of people doing that were uploading their results into stuff like YFull and UPD and whatnot. And so mitochondrial was kind of lagging behind. And that's kind of, I think, the big thing. Let me make this larger. Is we just need more people to test. So yeah, the mission of the Million Mito Project is to encourage over 1 million people to explore their direct maternal line by taking an mtDNA, mitochondrial DNA test, and contributing to the largest shared evolutionary mitochondrial DNA tree of humankind ever assembled. So what they're saying here is the largest shared evolutionary mitochondrial tree of humankind is a really broken down way of saying a phylogenetic family tree. So a phylogenetic tree is an evolutionary tree. When you look at the breakdown of animals, the phylogenetic tree of animals or whatever, I think that's often what you usually see. So Khan Academy, no clue who this is, but yeah, phylogenetic tree. And technically it's a species thing. So I thought I saw, so like here's a phylogenetic tree technically. We can look at this. So yeah, it's basically just helps us kind of understand a family tree sort of thing. And so this is what they're trying to do with mitochondrial DNA. And I'm sure there's got to be a link to the mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA. Actually, let's just go through the Y chromosome database. Here we go, mitochondrial Eve. And so here, this is, I guess that's not, I don't know if that's technically a phylogenetic tree, but here's the phylogenetic tree of human mitochondrial DNA. So a phylogenetic tree breaking down the mitochondria. And basically what they're trying to do is have the most nuanced broken down one by testing the most people. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know where they are with that. Honestly, I haven't seen updates. I don't know. Yeah. So very interesting question. All right, let's catch up because I'm kind of lagging behind again. Next lifetime, Brendan. Hello, good to have you. Let's see. You don't count the Caribbean as over the sea. Yeah, I guess it is over the sea, but technically for me, wouldn't it be over the Gulf? Unless, what? Let me see. I honestly don't know. Yeah, I guess technically, yeah, the Caribbean Sea. I guess I just kind of always think of the Gulf of Mexico. Because I guess I would have had to. I went to Jamaica. I know I went to Jamaica. I went to Cozumel, but that's Mexico. Oh yeah, I went to the Bahamas. Basically, when I was a kid, I went on 2 different cruises. One when I was, I think, 11 or 12, and then another one when I was maybe like 14 or something. The Caribbean Sea borders the U.S., so it's not overseas. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know the seas well enough. I'm literally just looking at the Google Earth, and yeah. So I guess because Gulf of Mexico and then the Caribbean Sea is on the southern part, basically. If you look at where the... All right, I'm just going to show this. So Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean Sea. So, yeah. This is one place I definitely want to go, Curacao. And actually, I looked it up. So in Willemstad, I looked it up where this cousin of mine lived. Because when my mom was young, she went on a trip to Curacao, and my grandfather had met this cousin in Curacao years before who also had the same name, Nunes Vaz. So my mom went and stayed with the guy, and she said he looked exactly like her father. And we have a letterhead from him still. And so I looked into it and looked it up, and I was able to find out that his business was like, if I remember correctly, it was on like one of these main... No, it wasn't that street. It was like a main street somewhere. I thought it was right here at the bay part, but I could be wrong. Maybe I have it off. I need to look into it again. But it was like this like walkable street, and his shop was right off of it. And yeah, I know it was Willemstad, but I don't know. Yeah. Either way, yeah. All right. James Burton, let me know next time you're in London, and anyone else who'd be interested in grabbing a coffee with a fellow genealogist. Definitely. Actually, next time I go to London, I think one thing I want to try to do is maybe like do like a meetup with people. So that would be really cool to kind of plan something like that. I need to do that around the world, I think. Okay. I'm going to try to jump forward here because I'm being slow. Forgetting Sarah Marshall. That's the movie. Thank you. That was You sound like you're from London. Hertfordshire. And cousin Catherine's still here. Awesome. Rob, evening. Hoe gaat het? Ik ben goed. And y'all? Julia, my daughter just said to me, you have to press and hold your finger on the iPad to mimic right click on a mouse. I've just tried it out, Ancestry, and it works. Yeah. Good. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm not even going to try to say all this stuff, this different stuff. All right. John Big Booty. Hello from Texas. Good to have you. Eve, I have 450 close matches on Ancestry. I had 137 when I started. Yeah, it grows crazy. It grows so much. And I remember when I first tested, being so disappointed, looking at my top matches that were like 110 centimorgans. And, I didn't really know about endogamy when I first tested. In 2013, I had heard about stuff and I had read about stuff when I, was getting ready for it. But I looked at all kind of mainstream stuff. And then when I got my results, I remember my first match that I messaged like, based on what it says we're related, I'm guessing maybe this or this. And the guy was like, nope, you need to learn about endogamy. And so he sent me some stuff, and then I started to learn about endogamy, and that was when things changed greatly. But yeah, the amount of matches I've had grown so much. Okay. Keith, tracing my mother's family, Pereira, arrived at baptism register entry of 1718 for Abraham Pereira, which actually says a man of 34 years, formerly a Jew. He was married the following day, Sephardic. Well, if he was a Jew and he had the name Pereira, I would assume that he's likely Sephardic. It's not guaranteed. Could also be that he was a mix, granted in 1700s, not very common. But where was this? Because, or where did he come from? Because with a name like Pereira and converting, I'm kind of wondering if he's Western Sephardic or Eastern Sephardic, and if maybe he's traceable. So yeah, I don't know. That's really interesting. Really interesting. JCN Ventura going to Curacao in May. Very cool. Hopefully you have a good time. If you run into anyone with the last name Nunes Vaz, be like, hey, I think I know a cousin of yours who's a YouTuber. Curacao is a nice place to visit. Have you been before, Yoka? Because yeah, that's what I hear from a lot of people, is that it's a great place to check out. And I know, my mom went on vacation there years ago. My grandparents went on vacation there years ago. And then obviously I had cousins living there. So yeah, very cool. For those who don't know, Curacao has really close ties to the Netherlands because it was a Dutch colony. Is it still a Dutch whatever? Like, yeah, a Dutch Caribbean island. So what's its official? A constituent island country within the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Okay, interesting. I'm just reading off. I'm reading from Wikipedia. So, did you? Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's probably. Okay. Okay. Let me see where I'm at. Okay, I'm not too far behind. All right. Eve, my 4 times great grandmother, born 1807, maternal is my brick wall. Did mtDNA after a Roots Tech special last year, yet to figure out what to do with it. I did my mitochondrial DNA test in 2013. I still have yet to make use of it. I had my dad do a mitochondrial DNA test in 2015, because obviously he has very different mitochondrial DNA than I do. And I have not been able to make use of that either. I have been able to make use of mitochondrial DNA in various cases, but it's often been where even if that person had done just an autosomal DNA test, we probably would have been able to figure it out. The mitochondrial DNA didn't really give us anything different than what the autosomal DNA would have given us. So not to say don't do mitochondrial DNA, because the more people that do it, the more we learn about it, we may figure out something that can completely change the game in terms of utilizing it for actual genetic genealogy. But yeah, it's been kind of rare. So Keith, Pereira is a Portuguese name. Abraham, not so much. Rare. Sephardic is a possibility, I'd say. Oh, for some reason I thought that was Keith responding. Oh, that I saw. Okay, this is what I saw. Whitechapel, London. Okay, yeah, Whitechapel, London. It's probably going to be Sephardic. What I would suggest you do is get a hold of the records from Bevis Marks, because if he was Sephardic, he would have likely shown up in the records of Bevis Marks living in Whitechapel, London. Which, by the way, I thank you so much, Alexandra, for the €3 super sticker. Greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. Koblenz, Germany, coming in for the assistance. Thank you. But back to Keith. So Whitechapel, London, we're dealing with Bevis Marks here. And some of the records are online. So they have the Jeff Malka Sephardic collection. And yeah, I think you can search it through. So actually, we'll just go ahead. Now, Abraham was a very common name amongst the Sephardic Jews of London. But yeah, the other thing, I need to log in. Hold on. The other thing to keep in mind too is the GRO records, the General Registry Office, which if you've not ordered records from there, I highly recommend going and finding the records for the family from there. But okay, so here we go. So we have a few different ones now. These are burials, and if he had converted, more than likely he's not going to be showing up here. But one thing to keep in mind is, if you notice, there's Lopez here, but that's not really a middle name. These are double surnames, and a lot of these people use double surnames, and the double surnames would be passed on intact each generation unless someone decided to drop one of the names. So for my family, Nunes Vaz stayed Nunes Vaz for many generations. And so this was Lopez Pereira, Mendez Pereira, none others here really, but you know, there could be all sorts of double surnames. So that's one thing to keep in mind as you look is, can you find anything, even if it's just an initial, like let's say you found something that says Abraham L. Pereira. Well, that's a big hint that the name could have been Lopez Pereira. At the same time, it's also possible that the name was just Pereira. So that's where I would suggest looking, where you may be able to find some stuff. So yeah. And for those who are a little confused about what I'm talking about, Keith mentioned earlier that he found a record indicating, oh wait, I guess it wasn't that long. I was thinking it was like at the beginning. Yeah, a man of 34 years, formerly a Jew. So 34 years, what is that? That's 1684 that he would have been born. So 1684-ish, you know, I would say sometime in the 1680s, because you never know where the age really truly is. And so, you know, see if you can find an Abraham Pereira that fits that mold, or at the very least, even if you find multiple, make note of each one, start kind of a profile for each one, and then go through and see if there's ones you can rule out. You know, especially, you know, you find one, check, well, what are they doing at the time that we know this Abraham Pereira is now no longer a Jew, you know, or, you know, no longer Jewish. He's still a Jew culturally and ethnically. He's just not Jewish religiously. Which, by the way, I should mention for those who are confused, Judaism Jewishness is an ethno-religion. So it's an ethnicity, but it is based around a religion. So there is an ethnical component to it in terms of people having shared genetic ancestry, but it's based around a religious aspect. And so people can convert in and out as well. But that doesn't change the genetics. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Rob, goed, dankjewel. Dankjewel ook. I don't know how to say you're welcome. How do you say you're welcome? I don't think I ever learned that. I learned like a bunch of ways to say thank you, you know. Dank je, bedankt, dankjewel. Yeah. Ik geen antwoord voor dat. Okay. Yes, I've been there 30-ish years ago. Okay. So it's been a minute, but still, I definitely need to go. I need to go to Curacao. All right. Armagal, how can you get a birth certificate from England when the person was born prior to 1835? I believe that's the earliest the GRO carries on their site. I honestly don't have the greatest answer for that. My guess is that it'll depend on localities. My experience researching England prior to the 1840s is very minimal. You know, most of my research that's dealt with the Jewish community in England has focused on the time period of the Hutz movement, the Chutz movement, which was basically a bunch of Dutch Jews, both Ashkenazi and Sephardi, moving from the Netherlands to the East End of London. A lot of them basically working in cigar rolling and hat making and shoe lasters and things like that. So I don't have a direct answer, but yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm guessing. I think it'll be by locality. Yoka, Aruba, Curacao, and St. Martin are nowadays constituent countries. Bonaire, Saba, and St. Eustachius. It's not. I actually don't know how to say that. Are special municipalities of the Netherlands. Interesting. Zeb Walton, Happy New Year. Ready to leap on test paternal side. No, well, however, maternal is mystery. Father said my mother didn't use real maiden name on birth certificate. What test do you recommend? Well, I would definitely recommend an autosomal DNA test. I would recommend doing Ancestry as your main one and then uploading that to the websites that allow you to upload. If you want to get the best options that you're going to find as many matches as possible, I would recommend testing with Ancestry and 23andMe because those are the two databases you cannot upload into. But if you are limited based on a budget and can only do one test, Ancestry would be the way to go. You can also take the route of doing mitochondrial DNA. It certainly would be helpful to the overall mitochondrial world, obviously, but it may not be super helpful immediately to your research. It might be, but you have kind of less of a chance. So if you are limited on budget, I wouldn't worry as much about the mitochondrial DNA. But that, if you're looking to figure it out through DNA, that would be the way to go. That would be the way to go. So good luck. Lisa Lane, good day from Australia. Well, thank you for joining. What time? It's got to be late in Australia. I don't know what time. Let's see, Australia time now. Okay, so somewhere between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. So, okay, cool. Yeah, for some reason, I always thought Australia was like 12 hours exactly, but I guess maybe I'm thinking like the western side. I don't either. Okay, waiting on Ancestry DNA's results. Mom's side is St. Just, Cornwall, and dad's side Irish and Scottish to date. Both my grandmother and great-grandmother never knew their fathers. Interesting. Well, good luck with the DNA results. Figuring out your grandmother's father, that might be a lot easier than figuring out your great-grandmother's father, but I think they're both possible. And if you have your parents available to DNA test, I would highly recommend having them DNA test, especially whichever side these grandmothers with unknown parentage are coming from. So yeah, very cool though. Very cool. Good luck. Good luck. Wick girl, my friend is half American and other half Saudi. She plans on doing a DNA test to find her Saudi dad. How do we find records in Saudi Arabia when all we have is a name and approximate year of birth? Oof, that is one that I am definitely not going to know. But the way that I would go about starting is figuring out what is there available genealogically using the Family Search Wiki. So that's what I'm pulling up right now. So this is the Family Search Wiki. And so I guess, not a whole lot here. So not surprised, very limited on the records. Started. So yeah, not a lot here, but yeah, that's a difficult one. I think anywhere where you're dealing with, Middle Eastern or Arabian Peninsula, it's gonna be really difficult because the records, I don't know of a lot necessarily going on with digitization projects for that. Not to say that it's not out there for some of the countries in the Middle East and Saudi Arabia, but I would imagine there's some of the areas, especially with a lot of the conflicts that have gone on and, over the past 100 years, things have been very volatile all across the areas there. I don't know super, super well about every, all of what happened there. If you watch the casual historian Grant, he does a lot of that kind of stuff, videos on that. But yeah, I don't know. Good luck. Good luck. That's got to be a tough one. Okay, Edith H. Looking at the Palest settlement, do Ashkenazi surnames tell anything about family, occupation, physical traits, location of origin? Example, Magadow, a Magid, a preacher. Yeah, I mean, in my experience, it's kind of hit or miss whether or not you find that. I have found many families where we've been able to confirm, like, okay, yeah, we have this surname like Drakowski, which is related to a wire cutter, and then we find that there's a couple of wire cutters in the family. Okay, that makes sense. I have another family that's Kazanovich, the son of a Khazan. Well, I don't think we've found anything indicating a Khazan in the family, but it would certainly lead to reason that there's likely some sort of connection. So I think it may vary too, depending on the locations of the people and where they live. But I mean, that's what I would imagine. So I couldn't say for sure if it leans one way or the other in terms of that. Yes, it does often connect to something like that, or it doesn't. But I know in terms of location wise, there's been a lot of people that have not been able to find something connection by location, because the reason I know that part is just because my family comes from a town called Tulchin. And Tulchin is a place where for some reason there's a lot of people throughout the Pale who took the name Tulchinsky. And so I've had in the groups that I've run for Tulchin and the research I've done, I've seen a lot of people looking through it being like, our family name was Tulchinsky. We think that there must be connection. And maybe there was in some way, but proving it is a whole different ballgame. Valdemies, hello stream. Hope you had a good start to the new year. Thank you for joining. Hope you did as well. Let's see, how far back are we? Okay, not too terrible. John Big Booty, is it true that autosomal DNA testing can vary a bit from company to company, say Ancestry and MyHeritage, simply because the various companies are testing different parts of your DNA? Yes, that is true. I don't know exactly how much difference each company is doing in their testing, but for the most part, they're largely testing these same areas. So what they're doing with the autosomal DNA test is they're testing what's known as SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphisms, SNP. Here, we'll go to the ISOGG wiki. That's always a good one. So single nucleotide polymorphism. And basically, it's a specific spot on the genome where you can see here, it's usually CG, but then for whatever reason, now it's changed. And so what they were expecting, so here we can see AACG, the C is different and it's changed. And so when there's that change, it's single nucleotide polymorphism, and they can tie it to different things to figure out the connections. And so I think I'm oversimplifying this in a confusing way, but the main point here is that each test is testing about 700,000 SNPs, but not all of them are testing the same SNPs. So every company is going to have SNPs that are only unique to their company. Some of the SNPs may be tested at, 2 or 3 companies and not the 4th company or whatever, or you may have some where it's just a couple, basically out of those 700,000 SNPs. I don't know if these are the exact numbers, but maybe it's 650,000 that all of the companies are doing the same. And then each company has, however many different, 50,000 at Ancestry and 40,000 at MyHeritage. And I don't know, I'm just kind of pulling numbers out of thin air, but yes, you are correct. So this is one of the reasons why GEDmatch has a tool called the Super Kit. And the idea of the Super Kit is if you have tested at multiple databases, and this doesn't mean testing at one and then uploading to testing at Ancestry, uploading MyHeritage, and then downloading the MyHeritage stuff, because it's going to be the same. It's if you tested at Ancestry and tested at MyHeritage and Family Tree DNA, etc. When you download those raw results, there's going to be differences based on their difference of what they're testing. There's also going to be some differences because there's always a 1% margin of error. So, 700,000 SNPs, that means 7,000 SNPs on average are being read incorrectly. So that all comes into play, and basically they create one big super kit by putting all of those kits together. So yes. Okay, let's see. Do you know anything about the last name Diol in Spain? Because I found very little persons in the database with that name. I have never seen that before in my life. Would that be like wool or something? Because I'm trying to think of like the way you pronounce Oaxaca. So be like, the X is like a Huel. I don't know. If anyone knows, comment. Okay. You're welcome, Chachadan. Okay, Chachadan. Interesting. I don't know why I haven't learned that yet. My Dutch learnings. Kelly JQ, new here. Is there a way to trace lines without doing DNA tests? Oh, certainly. I mean, it's a lot harder if you're dealing with a very limited paper trail, but when it comes to genealogy without doing DNA tests, that's the traditional way of doing it. But to truly break through brick walls, basically what you have to do is try to think outside the box of what records could I find that are not the typical records that could help me uncover this story. Because, a lot of people these days rely on just going on to Ancestry or Family Search, searching through the database, they hit a wall, that's it. Instead, you hit that wall. Now it's time to start thinking outside the box. What could be there? Where did they work? Are there archives related to their work? Maybe you can contact, the company they worked for and they have the archives, or maybe some other archive is holding them. Also considering, okay, what was going on at the time? And is there anything that maybe I can find them connected to that thing going on at the time that will tell me even more? So maybe they lived in a town where there was some sort of, big happening that went on, and there were multiple town meetings, and there's records of the town meetings. Well, maybe they were there. I'm just like, that's the sort of way to go about the really advanced genealogy research, is finding this stuff that people don't always think about. And for my YouTuber Family Tree series, that's one of the things that I'm always trying to do, is like try to show how you got to go outside of the typical realm of Ancestry and Family Search and MyHeritage and all those, made easy genealogy websites, because they do make it easy, but then you hit those walls where, okay, now it's beyond that. Now we've really got to get into it. And, learning the history of the areas they're from, things like that, just to squeeze the story out of, maybe you only have a couple records, but you understand the context of the history going on, and you can all of a sudden be like, okay, well, this person was doing this, but at that time, all of this other stuff was happening, and that might be why he was doing that or this, or yeah. So it could be all over the place. Yeah. So hopefully that was helpful. Totus Valzer. Are there any other Lithuanian Jewish databases? I've been looking into an ancestor who was born in independent Lithuania, but died in USSR in the 50s, and he didn't have a Soviet passport. Well, I don't know what databases you've already accessed, but the database that comes to mind is the Litvoxig database, which, here we go. So we do have the Jewish Gen Lithuania database, the Litvoxig database, and then the Jewish Gen Poland database, the JRI Poland database. I honestly usually tell people just do the unified search, but either way, where's that? Okay. Either way, if you have not used this website, this is the website to use. Tons of records here, tons and tons of records. Oh, wow. I just realized it's 5:16. Okay. Probably go another 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so. So, yeah. So, let's see. C. Can Jewish endogamy be a problem on Ancestry by the tool that splits up the DNA matches on both sides? Because I have around 800 matches on my father's side, but only around 5 on my mother's side, and the big majority, around 8,000 DNA matches, are unassigned. Yes, this is where endogamy really shines in terms of screwing up the DNA stuff. Is Ancestry's side view stuff, even the admixture side view, where it gives you, you know, your percentage, 20% this and whatever percent that. Granted, if you're largely Jewish, you're probably getting a very large Jewish reading that's going to fill up both sides. But yes, it basically, you know, the thing that they do to figure out what side are they coming from is they're basically doing auto clustering in a sense. And when they're doing clustering requires clusters to be formed, basically very distinct groups of matches where they're all matching each other and basically not matching really any of your other matches. Whereas with endogamy, everybody's matching everybody. And so instead of these distinct clusters, you get this one big thing, which for anyone familiar with my recent video on the main channel about the endogamy auto cluster, which rolled out on GEDmatch not too long ago. Endogamy auto cluster. The thumbnail I used basically shows that. So you can see the thumbnail, and you can see this is what endogamy causes. So instead of having these distinct clusters, I'll go into the video and I'll pause it. And I guess we'll watch a Deadpool trailer. So do I show it? All right. Well, basically, you know, you want these distinct clusters. And so you see it it's forming these clusters, and basically in each of those clusters, you know, you look at all of these people's family trees, and hopefully you would find a shared ancestor between all of them. But then if you're dealing with I don't know if I show a cluster like that, but I guess I'll just keep it on the thumbnail. If you see one like this, the before, that's endogamy. Endogamy to a T. So, and then Dragoon, do you know how endogamy affects DNA matches? I'm from Venezuela and have many matches in Louisiana from a Canary Islander migration that happened in the 1780s. That's a lot to have third cousins. Yeah, I mean, the thing about endogamy is that it's just going to cause you to share higher amounts of DNA with your matches, but you'll notice that it's in smaller segments. So you often have higher totals and larger numbers of segments. So one of the tricks that we use to overcome endogamy with DNA matches is to try to order the ones we focus on by average segment size. Now, this will vary depending on population, but for the Jewish population, we often aim for 10 centimorgan averages or higher. So if you have a match that's 100 centimorgans and it's only across 5 segments, that's a great match because that's 20 centimorgan averages for the segments. 100 centimorgans divided by 5 is 20. But then let's say you have a match that's 100 centimorgans and it's across 12 segments. Well, you divide 100 by 12, and I don't know exactly what that comes out to, but it's less than an average of 10. So that's going to be a match that you're going to look at you're going to not focus on as much because there's a less likelihood that it's a closer match. Because when you're dealing with endogamy, you want to find people with large segments because a large segment indicates that relationship that you're inheriting that through is one that's going to be close. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's try to jump along. Oh, I didn't even notice. Keith, thank you so much for the £4.99 super sticker. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that. Every little bit helps, and thank you both, you and Alexandra. I truly appreciate that. That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Retta, the X is like an H is in Mexico, pronounced Mexico. Yeah, that's. It looks like Joel Hyol is Catalan. One meaning is adopted son. Interesting. Shoal. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking Oaxaca. I didn't even think Mexico. Berivar, sorry if this is a bit complicated. I'm trying to find DNA matches on my wife's maternal line. Would visual phasing work? I have the following kits tested. My wife and her brother, her father, and Pat something. And paternal grandmother, a maternal first cousin. Now I'm particularly interested in my wife's maternal line. She hasn't tested. Would visual phasing help? Yes, visual phasing would help. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to do than the typical 3 siblings, but the fact that you have you do have one sibling, so you have her brother, you're not going to want to use her father. Her father's kit's going to be useless because you look at how she's matching her father. It's going to show a match across every single chromosome because she inherited one part of every chromosome from her father, chromosome 1, that's a pair of chromosomes, and she inherited one of those completely from her father. So the father's going to be useless, but the paternal grandmother is going to help you in terms of that's going to instantly give you the paternal grandmother's matching on the visual phasing. And that's going to make things a lot easier as you start to fill in stuff. And then a maternal first cousin you've got a great start. Your wife, her brother, paternal grandmother, and a maternal first cousin, great start. I actually did my visual phasing with a very similar setup. It was myself, my sister, my maternal grandmother, and a paternal aunt. So the only difference is instead of I used my paternal aunt, you're using a first cousin. But yeah, it's going to be difficult, but it's going to be very, very possible to do. And that's going to be huge because if you're focused on specifically your wife's maternal line, well, not only are you going to be able to break down, the maternal line of where that's being inherited from, but even more, now you're going to have the maternal and maternal paternal separated out. And so for those who don't know what I'm talking about with visual phasing is where you take multiple DNA tests of people who are a certain distance to each other. Usually the typical thing that people suggest is doing 3 siblings. And when you look at their DNA together by comparing the spots of recombination, you can then figure out where the DNA is being inherited from. So I'm going to pull up one for myself. So this is visual phasing. So we have myself and my sister. We have my aunt, my sister. We have myself and my aunt. And then we have myself and my grandmother. And so what you do is you take a look at the points of recombination. So with what I have here, these images, these come from GEDmatch. And it's by doing a 1-to-1 comparison. So when you do a 1-to-1 comparison, you compare one person to another person, it shows you this breakdown where it's showing you not just are you matching where you're matching, but it's showing you are you matching as a half identical or full identical match. Well, what's the difference? Well, when you look at your DNA, every single spot, it's base pairs, A, C, T, or G. So you might have a base pair that's AA, base pair that's AT, or base pair that's TT, or CG, GG, CC, GC, all sorts of stuff. And so when you look and compare, are you matching someone? Well, you could be matching them on one part of the base pair, not the other. That's half identical. If you're matching both base pairs, that's full identical. And that helps us in understanding recombination and matching. But what you do is you can see up top, there's this yellow. A yellow means half identical. You'll also see some green. Green means full identical. And then you'll see a lot of red. And red means no match at all. And so you can see how each spot, there's black below meaning no match. But even so, that doesn't mean we're not matching on different parts of the base pairs. But so over here, we see this. That's a full identical. So this is a spot on my 4th chromosome where my sister and I have the exact same DNA. All the base pairs there are the same. But using this information is how we are able to do visual phasing. We note the recombination points both through half identical and full identical ways, and then we use that information to color it in. And so you can see down here, I have my different grandparents labeled. And so now when I match my matches, I can compare if they're the segment I'm matching them is chromosome 4, I can compare it to this chart, and then I go, oh, okay, well, look, it's actually right in this spot. So I know that it's either going to be from my grandma Lil on my father's side or my grandpa Mickey on my mother's side. But you can also figure out which side it's coming from if it's going over a recombination point. So let's say we're matching someone and that match goes over this point, like it's from here to right before this line. Well, there's a recombination point on my maternal line indicating that that match is not from the maternal line because it goes over the maternal, it goes over their recombination point. So then I know, okay, it's probably a paternal line, and even more, that's going to be through my grandmother, Grandma Lil. And so this is where visual phasing becomes really, really helpful. So if you're focused on your maternal line, then having that is going to be helpful in breaking that maternal line down. So as you go through matches, you'll be able to decipher some specifically as those maternal matches. Obviously, with your maternal or with the maternal, where was it? Your maternal first cousin testing. That's what's going to help you in terms of confirming those matches as maternal matches, and then using the visual phasing side to figure out which side of that maternal line. So this is actually something I did to try to work on the identifying Max Miller's ancestry. It was helpful. It certainly wasn't necessary for me to end up solving the case. A lot of that case ended up being solved outside of outside of DNA. But DNA certainly pointed us in a lot of the right directions. So yeah, okay. All right. I just realized it's 5:30. I'm just kind of doing a quick read through of some of the last comments, but I think I'm probably gonna. And then, oh, here. Next lifetime, Brendan. How do you see which chromosomes you match on? I have myself, brother, dad, paternal grandma, paternal grandpa's brother, and mom tested, various other cousins, but I don't have ownership of their kits. You don't need to have ownership of their kits as long as they upload it to GEDmatch. So if you're trying to do this visual phasing like I'm showing, you need to have it on GEDmatch. There's no other sites that I'm aware of that allow you to do a one-to-one comparison that allow you to see the half identical region and the full identical region, which is necessary for doing visual phasing. But yeah, this is something where with all of those kits that you have tested, yourself, your brother, paternal grandma, paternal grandpa's brother, and then both of your parents tested, yeah, you know, your parents' kits aren't going to help in visual phasing, and you'll want to get somebody from your maternal side too, because you have yourself, your brother, and then paternal grandma and a paternal great uncle, excuse me, paternal great uncle. So you need a good close match on the maternal side to help figure that out too. Oh, and I see a super sticker question come in. I'll try to answer it real quick, but this will probably be the last one I'm answering. Broseph for the $4.99. Thank you very much. Salutations. I have Jewish ancestry, 5% on Ancestry on my strict paternal side from Moselle, France. What are your thoughts on FTDNA's Y37 test? Thanks. If you are looking at the Y37 test as a way to figure out, is this paternal line the Jewish line, it's going to be perfectly helpful. And even more, I would suggest that you get your results into the Avotenu Y-DNA study. And the way to do that is once you get your DNA results back from Family Tree DNA, you go to this website. I'm going to put it in chat. This is the Avotenu DNA project. And basically, you can get your kit added into this. It's free to do. This fund is just stuff people have donated to do this. You can look at the background. Oh, I guess they don't have background, Philip, but you can look at the goals. And basically, once you get your DNA in there, you'll be able to they'll be able to tell you if it is Jewish or not. Once you do the Y37, if it is a Jewish line, then more than likely you will see that pretty quickly with the surnames and stuff. You'll notice, okay, a lot of Jewish surnames and things like that, especially if it's Ashkenazi. But, somewhere like Moselle, France, you got kind of a 50-50 split of could it be Sephardic or Ashkenazi, which actually I'm not familiar where Moselle is. Let me see, because if it's kind of near the Basque region, northeast. Okay, yeah. So this is, if it's coming from that area, the northeast, I would probably think more Ashkenazi, because a lot of the Sephardi communities that I know about were Bayonne and Bordeaux. So, closer to the Basque region. But yeah, so Y37, it's a great way to start as well. If you have the money to do the big Y or one of the bigger Y tests, it will be helpful in, any good matches you get, telling you how truly close they are, or a much better idea. But obviously, if budget is a limit and Y DNA tests can get expensive, Y37 should help you solve that answer of, is your Jewish line your purely paternal line? So hopefully that should be helpful. That's going to be it for today. That's going to be the last question. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining today. I hope you had a happy New Year. I've got a lot of great stuff in store for this year. A couple of things I can't announce yet, but I'm like waiting on the edge of my seat to announce some cool stuff. But gonna have some cool live streams coming up, lots of cool videos, and I'm super excited for the year. So thank you so much for joining today. You all have a wonderful rest of your Friday, or wonderful rest of your weekend, especially those of you watching in Australia. It's the morning of Saturday the 4th, so crazy. All right, y'all have a good one.